Today on Monkey Life, Alison and Jeremy are in for a surprise when they go to the rescue of two capuchin monkeys.
The calls that I'm hearing coming from the house are marmosets. I don't think it's going to be capuchin monkeys.
Baby Awan gets more adventurous.
She's definitely inquisitive about everything.
And there's mayhem at the Bachelors when the chimps refuse to play with Gypsy. Monkey World in Dorset, set deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescues and rehabilitates abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
Nothing's ever straightforward on these.
The park provides a home for more than 240 monkeys and apes. Its aim is to give them as happy and natural a life as possible. It's an early start for Alison and animal manager Jeremy Keeling. They've had a call from the police in Merseyside who urgently need their help.
We're headed up north to Liverpool, where I believe, because we're never quite sure what we're going to find two capuchins in a small cage inside of a sitting room, along with, I think, a bulldog that's on site and potentially a raccoon in a shed. So, never really know what to expect, but as always, we'll try and pick up what pieces we can.
The British pet trade is a constant source of concern. The team is continually being asked to rehome unwanted or neglected monkeys. Many owners simply don't know how to look after them. This is going to be a tricky rescue. The police think there may be trouble.
It's in a little bit of a tense time and in a not so great area, as there's been a few incidents there. So there's going to be quite a group of police coming with us, I think, to make sure everything goes smoothly.
The rescue is being coordinated by Wirral Wildlife Officer Rachel Kruger.
What we've got is information's been received that there is 6 children at the address in a council house with 2 dangerous wild animals. These people don't have permission to have primates in the house.
If indeed they're full-grown capuchin monkeys, we're talking about a primate that's about 5.5 kilos maybe, and a male is well armed with big canine teeth. So if any of you were in the room and they got out and they looked aggressive, you want to stand back and let Jeremy and I handle it. It'll make it go a lot smoother for the monkeys.
I'm just hoping that we don't upset the children too much by taking away the family pets. But we've got to be conscious that they are dangerous wild animals and they do represent a risk to those children.
Follow the big carrier.
In the UK, it is legal to keep primates as pets, but unlike zoo-kept animals, there are few laws governing their standard of care. So many monkeys end up being kept in appalling conditions and suffer physically and mentally.
Yeah, they're all ready.
When Alison reaches the house, there's a surprise in store.
Marmosets. The calls that I'm hearing coming from the house are marmosets. So we'll see what's in there, but I don't think it's going to be capuchin monkeys.
It sounds like the team could have a problem. To keep capuchins, you need a dangerous wild animals license, but you don't with marmosets, which makes them more difficult to confiscate. On top of all that, the gear they've brought to handle and transport the animals is meant for capuchins.
Hey, sweetie. Yeah, they're common marmosets.
Obviously.
Who did you get them from?
I bought one in Birmingham and one up in Scotland.
Okay, and are they, like, friendly and they come out and hang out with you?
Yeah, they just sit on my shoulder.
Yeah.
What's your name, please? You're a girl.
Hey, sweeties. What are their names?
Clydie is Scottish, that's the girl.
Clyde?
And
Clydie.
Charlie.
Clydie and Charlie.
From Birmingham.
Okay.
The house is full of animals. Alison is not impressed.
It's a real problem having marmosets collared in a cage. They can hang themselves. It hasn't been cleaned in months, if not years.
Outside, they make another grim discovery.
Wow. There is a raccoon in the shed. It's got terrible matted fur, and it's living in so much filth and excrement. I haven't seen the like of something like this for a while. Poor little chap. If you stick your head in there, it's living in its own excrement. Its fur's matted, it's underweight. It's really not good. It's really very poor.
Alison is concerned about the health of all three animals.
The one's got pretty bad rickets.
I know, I've seen that, yeah. What do I get for that?
Well, it needs the right vitamin supplements. It's all down to nutrition. But I think what I would suggest to you is whether or not you consider signing them over. That would be my advice to you.
They cost me £4,000.
Feeding 4,000, you didn't pay 2,000. Sorry.
I paid one that on. 1,600 for one, 15 for the other.
Excuse me, but you were done then.
Well, I was done then. But that's what I exactly paid.
But feeding them biscuits.
I don't feed them biscuits. That's the kids.
But whatever, and it's not been cleaned and so on. Really,
it hasn't been cleaned because I do it all the time. I've got the steamer there.
But there are
steam.
animal welfare issues, so my advice to you just would be to sign them over so that you don't get grief. But
I'm not going to get grief. I'm going to clean them all up.
It's very sad. I don't think he means them harm, but the animals aren't being kept appropriately, so they need to go.
But Alison has a tough job on her hands if she's going to persuade the owner to hand the monkeys over. Back at the park, the chimp team are preparing a surprise for the all-male group known as the Bachelors. Some of the boys do have a tendency to be a bit lazy, so the team are filling their enclosure with fun things to encourage them to get a bit more exercise. And, as chimps are largely governed by their stomachs, they're making sure there are plenty of treats too. When they first appear, the boys are unusually quiet. The higher-ranking members of the group quickly get their hands on the goodies, but there's none of the normal squabbling. In Buxom's case, it could be because he's stuffed his mouth full of pears. Paco, too, is keen to gobble down as much food as he can before the others notice. Leader Butch is one of the brighter chimps and soon realises the plastic balls may not look very appetising, but they're filled with tasty yoghurt. These more dominant chimps are only really interested in the food, which leaves the way clear for the others, led by Charlie, to have some fun. Seamus, who's not the cleverest, strikes lucky when he finds nuts in the barrel. But the others just want to cause mayhem. Troublemaker Gypsy wants Sammy to play, but he's more interested in finding the food than mucking around. He tries his luck with Jimmy, but that turns out to be a bad idea. So he goes back to annoy Sammy. Seamus thinks he's safe, but he's wrong. Gypsy is getting on everyone's nerves. Maybe Buxom and the higher rankers had the right idea after all. Back in Liverpool, the police have discovered the owner of the Marmosets has broken his tenancy agreement by keeping the animals, so they can confiscate them after all, despite his protests. And Rocky the raccoon is going to be rehomed too.
Okay, just careful, you don't want to have him sick.
Jeremy resorts to bribery to entice him into his travelling crate.
Now, but it was all in the wrong manners. He actually went straight into the box. Even the cameraman could have done that, it was so easy.
We put food in the box and he's very hungry.
He's troughing away.
He's already eaten a whole banana, an entire half a bag of grapes and a nectarine.
Here you go, Rocky. Come on, young man.
Jeremy is hoping Charlie and Clydie will be as accommodating as Rocky.
She's got the collar, you can just grab that.
The crate is large because it had been intended for a capuchin, so there's plenty of room for both Charlie and Clydie.
She's right in the door. Fun. So the pair are in together. We've got them fresh water. He's already eating banana, so I think he's quite pleased to be having some more regular food.
Marmosets have to be fed an appropriate diet and given vitamins to make sure they get all the nutrients they need.
What a day, you know? Just goes to show there can be anything living next door to you right now in this country. And it's just tragic because these animals needed saving and I want to get them health checked now. So back to the park ASAP.
It can get pretty hot at the park in the summer, so the staff sometimes give the residents ice lollies to help them cool down. And today, it's the turn of Gordon's group. There are 6 orangutans in this family. The youngest is baby Awan, who's now 18 months old and growing up fast. Orangutans learn everything from their mothers, and Awan's adoptive mum, Hsiao-quai, is a great teacher. The youngster has started exploring on her own, but Hsiao-quai is never far behind.
She's definitely inquisitive about everything. And I think she almost looks back at her mum and thinks, I'm just going to go a little bit further. Just, you know, so she pushes it. So she's definitely got some character there. If she takes after her mum, then she'll be a very dominant and well-rounded animal.
Not all the female orangutans at the park are maternal, but Hsiao-quai is a great mum. She already has 2 sons, but didn't hesitate to take Awan under her wing when her mother rejected her at birth.
She's always got her eye on her, so if any of the other females get too close that she's not too happy about, or if Gordon comes over, she's always got her eye on her and she will go down and get her if she feels that she's in any danger or she's a little bit worried. So she's a good mum. She's supportive, but she gives her enough independence so that she can do a little bit of her own thing.
Awan is lucky because she has several doting aunties in the group who love playing with her.
I think Hsiao-quai is enjoying having the interest from the other females towards Awan. It does give her a bit of downtime. She can maybe go off and relax while she's got some babysitters all around her.
In the wild, orangs stay with their mums for up to 7 years, but here at the park, they tend to get separated from them a little earlier. Hsiao-quai's younger son, Jin, is now 4 years old and quite independent. The orang team are beginning to think it may be time for him to move on.
We are considering moving Jin away from Hsiao-quai and actually away from Gordon. Naturally, males wouldn't be living together. They would be fighting over their females and their territory and would end in serious injuries. And we've seen a few warning signs where maybe Gordon's just getting a little bit intolerant of Jin, certainly when he's trying to mate his mum or he's showing any sexual interest in any of the females and Jin's getting in the way and, you know, accidents can happen. He's a big animal. So I think it may be time to consider moving him. It would be to the nursery as he's a young animal and he needs sort of young companionship and some other figures that we have over there. The nursery is a great place to be and I'm sure he'd absolutely love it.
But it will be a huge wrench to separate Jin from his mum, so the team will need to consider all the options before they make a decision. At the Stumpy house, the macaques are being their usual grumpy selves. These monkeys take life at a much slower pace than other residents at the park. But the team have come up with an idea to entice them outside. They found a rotten tree, so have decided to put it in their enclosure. In the wild, Stumpies spend most of their time foraging on the ground for seeds, fruits, and insects. This tree should be full of tasty grubs and so encourage natural behaviour. Phil is the first to spot the tree, but ugly monkeys, as they're affectionately known here, have a strict hierarchy, and he's at the bottom, so he keeps his distance. As does another low ranker, elderly Paddy. Which leaves the way clear for Sylvie and leader of the group Sam to get stuck in. Phil has now been joined by Jonathan, who's also low in the pecking order. It could be a while before they get their turn. Stumpies are surprisingly dexterous, so Noreen has no problem grabbing hold of tiny insects. Meanwhile, Miriam and Sylvie are using their big cheek pouches to stuff as much as possible into their mouths. They won't eat it all now. They use their pouches to store food for later. Sam has moved away to enjoy his stash and is soon followed by Miriam. But greedy Sylvie is still hard at it. She'll eat anything and doesn't seem to care that there'll be nothing left for the others. Paddy decides to give up. But Phil and Jonathan are ever hopeful and bide their time. Finally, Sylvie has had enough, leaving the tree free at last. Jonathan makes his move. But just at that moment, Charlie, who's the lowest ranking female but still higher than Jonathan, decides to take her turn. Fortunately, she seems more interested in the camera than the grubs. Which means Jonathan and Phil can nip in to pick up the scraps. It just goes to show perseverance pays off. Alison and Jeremy are nearing the end of their long drive back from Liverpool. The team that's expecting them at the park has just received the news that they're bringing back marmosets instead of capuchins. But that's caused a problem, and they've had to find some emergency accommodation for Charlie and Clydie.
We've had a brand new marmoset complex built especially kind of for this purpose. Unfortunately, that's completely full now. So at the moment, the only space that we have to put these two new arrivals is in this cage temporarily up here in our hospital.
Wait on him.
As with all newcomers, they're weighed straight away so their progress can be monitored.
They are only 700 grams between the two of them, so...
They're worryingly underweight. The team want the marmosets to spend the night in their specially prepared cages, but they're understandably unsettled.
There you go. And the other one? Yep.
Charlie is out, but Clydie is more apprehensive.
I think she's at the doorway. Oh. There you guys go.
Good lads, really good.
On closer inspection, Alison can see what a dreadful condition they're in.
One of them has very bad break. I guess it might be her very bad bent tail. He claims that he would take them outside, and I think that's why she's got the collar, but she's got a worse tail than this one, so.
The team's main focus is on Charlie and Clydie, but they do still have Rocky to deal with.
Rocky, the raccoon. I mean, we're not Raccoon World, so Rocky, we're gonna have to find a home elsewhere. We think we've got a place sorted in Kent, so I'm really pleased for him. He's really sweet.
So it looks like a happy ending for Rocky, but Charlie and Clydie are of more concern. Jeremy is keen to take off Clydie's filthy collar, but there's a surprise in store.
It's just the belt buckle.
Yeah, just undo the belt.
Pregnant.
I thought I was going to say she looks the
So
same.
let's get the collar off and put her back.
I know, lovely.
The collar has been put on very tightly.
That's tight. I've got it.
This will have made it easy for Clydie's previous owner to catch her, but will have been very uncomfortable for the pregnant marmoset.
You won't take me, I don't care.
That's going to feel so much better, darling. Yeah. There you go, lovely.
That feel it coming.
Okay. Yeah.
Very tight?
Been on for a while, isn't it? It's filthy.
Yep. I'll take that up with, oh, nice. Part of the evidence chain. Yeah, it was on the very tightest last one. You can see there the mark on it. So that is quite small around her neck. I don't know. I don't know what to say. The whole British pet trade is so appalling, and the animals are so neglected and mistreated, and even if these people liked their marmosets, the conditions were so bad. They've got rickets, she's pregnant, what were they gonna do with offspring? I don't know. It's just tragic, really, just tragic. So we'll have to see what happens, because really, we don't have room to keep them here at the moment, so we're gonna have to really put our heads together and work out where we can keep these guys.
Next time on Monkey Life. Concern for Charlie and Clydie when they undergo health checks.
His tail is clearly very painful. The female's upper jaw is broken. You couldn't get worse.
And Bueno Junior gets his first lesson in how to be a woolly monkey.
Hi, Lavar.
This time on Monkey Life. Bueno Junior meets his new family.
He's a woolly monkey and needs to be with the others.
Wildlife vet John Lewis is worried about newcomer Clydie.
She's not getting enough nutrients even to support her own muscle mass. So no, she shouldn't be pregnant. That's not in her best interest at all.
And it's chaos at the Capuchin house when Winslow's group have a weigh-in.
William, come on. Mary. I think this could be quite a long day.
Monkey World in Dorset is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescues and rehabilitates abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
Really pleased, he's made the journey really well.
The park provides a home for more than 240 monkeys and apes. Its aim is to give them as happy and natural a life as possible. There's a special visitor at Lavar's woolly monkey house. Bueno Junior has been hand-reared by Alison since he was born. But now it's time for him to get to know his new woolly family.
It's fantastic. He's finally graduating to the next step, and we've been bringing him up here to sort of spend afternoons in his own little playroom that the ladies have kitted out for him, and really nice. So it's time that he starts getting familiarized with the woolly monkey house, because this is going to be the next stop.
Head of the house, Lavar, is curious to see the newcomer.
That's okay. No, I'm not going to put you up there with them now.
Bueno Junior was born by caesarean section, but was immediately rejected by his mother Sarah, who was shocked to find him clinging to her when she came round from the anaesthetic. Alison had no choice but to take him away and look after him herself. But although she's fed and cleaned him for the last 3 months, there are some things he'll only be able to learn by being in the house.
This is where we'll begin his introductions to other woolly monkeys. So getting him just familiar with the surroundings is good. Getting him familiar with all of the primate care staff that work down here with the woolly monkeys is important. So leaving him with them, and they can start taking over afternoon feeds with him. And perhaps most importantly, being around Lavar's group, hearing all of the trills. He's a woolly monkey and needs to be with the others. So everything that we do, from how we feed him to what the daily activity is based upon our minds thinking in a couple of months ahead of time when he's going to be rejoining the group.
Woolly monkeys are incredibly agile. They come from the Amazon basin in South America, where they live high in the treetops. Their prehensile tails act as a fifth limb, and they use them to hang from branches. But when Junior was born, his mother accidentally damaged his tail, and Alison was worried he'd never be able to use it properly.
It's come out good. We were very cautious with it. We stopped the infection, we got the wound healed up, and you can see now he uses his tail just brilliantly, wrapping around those hoses. Just a natural instinct to use it, and it's stronger than his arms or his legs. So really pleased that that's come good, because I can't even imagine what a woolly monkey without a proper prehensile tail, what it would even be like.
Despite his rough start, Bueno Junior is now thriving.
He's put on loads of weight, he eats well, he's quite a happy little chap. We're trying to provide him, it's a really delicate balance, provide him what emotional support that he needs, while at the same time really encouraging him to be independent and at a very young age. Really looking forward to seeing him with other woolly monkeys. That'll be a big day. It's okay, you're good.
Tuan's orangutans are a fairly sedate group. They have a large outdoor enclosure with a fantastic climbing frame, although when it comes to taking exercise, they don't exactly push themselves. But today, the primate care staff are determined to make them work for their breakfast. If there's one thing that'll get orangs moving, it's food. Fortunately, head of orangs Jarno is also a qualified tree surgeon, so isn't fazed by having to scale the 40-foot ladder.
Right, let's let them out.
Lucky, who's quite nimble compared to the others, spots the fruit first. She's followed by Amy, who loves her food but will always take the easiest option. So while Lucky heads for the top, Amy grabs as much as she can from the lowest level. Still, at least she's off the ground. Leader of the group, Tuan, decides it's worth the climb, although maybe not to the top. Roro has already got her pickings and is heading to the ground to enjoy them in peace. Meanwhile, Amy's stomach has got the better of her. She's realised she's going to have to go higher. Amy's a little heavier than Lucky and Roro, so doesn't find climbing quite so easy. But she's a determined orang, so if there's food to be had, she'll reach it. With renewed energy from breakfast, Roro wants to know if any of the others are up for a low-level play session. There's no sign of Lucky or Amy, but Tuan, who's always keen to please his ladies, heads over. He has a soft spot for Roro, and she enjoys the attention. But after a while, Roro decides that's enough exercise for one day. At the park's hospital, wildlife vet John Lewis has been called in to examine Charlie and Clydie. The two marmosets arrived at the park yesterday, having been rescued from a house in Liverpool. Alison is concerned about their health, as they're worryingly underweight and malnourished.
We'll be looking for John to confirm their overall bodily condition, so whether they're scrawny or not, because they look scrawny to us. And also check their mouths, are their teeth good and solid? And for a marmoset, the biggest thing that we encounter is nutritional bone disease. And that's simply down to giving them an inappropriate diet in captivity.
Clydie is the first to be put under anaesthetic. This is risky with any animal, but John is particularly worried about Clydie, as she's pregnant, and the stress could cause her to miscarry.
Oh, very skinny. Yeah. That's not nice. She's, John's words were perfect, bag of bones. She's just a bag of bones. There's nothing to her. Her condition's a real issue.
John examines her swollen stomach and then has a quick look over the rest of her body.
The femurs don't look too bad. The tibias are a bit wonky. Skin's covered in that sort of greasy rubbish that's probably everywhere in her. You can feel every single vertebra in the backbone there. It's like I say, a bag of bones. She's got very little muscle.
Ooh, yeah.
The team have noticed that Clydie has a problem eating, so John wants to check out her jaw.
It's awfully wobbly. She's got a broken jaw, a maxilla. You see, there's movement there relative to the incisors. There,
But her whole jaw is broken.
Well, the maxilla's broken here, isn't it, between the canine and that upper incisor too.
Clydie's poor bone density brought on by her bad diet may well have contributed towards the fracture.
If you have very poorly mineralized bones, they're not very strong. And I would imagine that by correcting the diet over the next couple of months, that might just stabilise.
In the UK, marmosets need to be fed a specific diet to make up for the lack of sunshine in this country. One of the most important supplements is vitamin D3, which is known as the sunshine vitamin. Sadly, many pet owners don't realise this. With Clydie being pregnant, the team don't want to take any chances, so decide to leave any surgery until she's in better health.
I mean, there's no way she should be pregnant because she is in such poor condition. She will suffer as a result of the pregnancy because the nutrients necessary for the fetus are drained out of the mother's body. She's not getting enough nutrients, even to support her own muscle mass. So no, she shouldn't be pregnant. That's not in her best interest at all. And it's more likely to cause her further health problems. So the best thing with her would be not to put her in a position to get pregnant until she was fit and healthy. But she is pregnant. So we're going to have to beef her up nutritionally and try and support that pregnancy.
So, one down, one to go.
Get it back into the cage.
Get the door for me, please. Thank you.
But John fears Charlie may be in an even worse state than Clydie. There are 82 capuchin monkeys living at the park, and every month, every single one of them gets weighed. Today, it's the turn of Winslow's group. But capuchin monkeys can be very mischievous, so it's never straightforward.
All our capuchin tunnels have these removable crates. The one we have here is a modified one, which is our weighing crate. And basically, it's got a moving floor that we put the scales underneath. So when the capuchin sits on the floor, you can actually get a more accurate reading because they're a real pain when we try and weigh them. Their hands come out, feet on the mesh, tails, or they'll hang off the roof. So this is a way, makes it a lot easier to get an accurate weight on all our capuchins.
Toby decides to start with two of the youngest capuchins.
This is Fabian. He's the baby of the group, really. He's a bit hyperactive, so it's getting him to sit still on the scales. Really, the trick in weighing them is to keep them still and keep their hands busy. You give them a couple of bits of food, and generally they'll let go of the mesh for a... He's actually quite a good weight for him. He's one of the smallest members of the group, and because he's quite low ranking, he's sort of been on extra food for a bit, but his weight's looking really good at the moment.
Next, it's Donnie's turn, but Fabian doesn't want to leave.
This is where it goes wrong sometimes, is you end up with two capuchins on the scales at the same time. Will you go down there for a minute, Fabes? Donnie is actually our biggest capuchin at the moment. He's the heavyweight of the group.
But Fabian isn't happy with all the attention Donnie's getting and manages to climb back on the scales.
Fabian, this is the fun of weighing capuchins. They're very cheeky, very intelligent. They can open the slides themselves, and they'll flick their tails out and grab stuff, and they can just be very stubborn.
Toby decides to try another tactic and goes outside to encourage Fabian to move.
That's the wrong one. That's Donnie.
The naughty duo finally play ball, leaving the way clear for the rest of the group to get a look in. Because the capuchins live in large groups at the park, it's important to monitor their weight to make sure they're getting their share of the food. Or in some cases, to make sure they're not eating too much.
So here we have Erico and Franco, who are the two that enjoy being weighed more than anyone else, I think. And Franco particularly is very fond of his food. He's a bit of a crybaby sometimes. 4.52 kilos, which again is about a normal weight for Franco, really. Winslow, you gonna come in?
Winslow is the leader of the group, and it's his turn next. But Franco is still sitting on the scales.
Frankie, and you're just gonna sit in there with him. Winslow, in you come. This is Winslow. He's quite grumpy. He likes to give you a bit of attitude. He likes to put Franco in his place. Franco's his little brother. Hello, Lucy. Good girl. Come on, Onslow. Elvira. Come, Vera. Elvira. Come on. Let's come and have this. Norman, are you coming? Got 8 left away. It really is quite a mission to get all 82 every single month. William, come on. Mary. Come on, Elvira. I think this could be quite a long day.
Capuchins aren't the only primates to have a pecking order. Chimpanzees have a strict hierarchy too, and each of the 4 groups at the park has a strong leader who commands respect. Butch, Sally, Paddy, and Hananya. But just occasionally, there can be dissent among the ranks. Hananya has been #1 in his group for 9 years and has proved to be a popular leader. He took over when he was just 12 years old from a chimp called Rodney, who was deposed after the rest of the group turned on him. Hananya had been Rodney's second in command, so knew the ropes, but struggled with his new role at the beginning. He had a lot to learn, and it took him a while to gain respect in the group. Leadership didn't come naturally to him. But over the years, he's matured into his position of responsibility. However, recently there have been signs of another power struggle, with fights breaking out.
We have noticed that Hananya's group have been squabbling a bit more than usual, and it's something that we're keeping an eye on. With any sort of community of social primates, you're going to have arguments and disputes because, of course, there's a hierarchy, and if there's an opportunity to move up the hierarchy, they're going to take it.
The main protagonist in these scuffles is Tikko, Hananya's #2. He's a very confident chimp and may be trying to undermine Hananya. The dominant female, Cherry, also seems to be unsettling him.
We've seen a lot more vigilant behaviour from Hananya. You'll often see him moving around the outside enclosure, either patrolling or just on the move, really, looking quite unsettled. He's looking around, he's looking over his shoulder. I certainly think he's very aware of where Tikko is and what Tikko's doing, and the same would go for Cherry. So then if there's ever a time when Tikko and Cherry are having some time together, that can unsettle Hananya quite a bit. Certainly Tikko is pretty sneaky. He's always had that reputation.
As a leader, it's Hananya's job to discipline members of the group if they're out of line. He regularly displays to show them that he's big and strong. But recently, he's been putting Tikko in his place more than usual. And this could be a sign that he's feeling insecure and doesn't want to be messed with.
We have seen Hananya using Tikko in his displays a bit more. That is a development, and I guess for him it makes perfect sense. You know, if you can discipline your second in command, then you can discipline anyone. The fights, when they happen, they're scary and they're something that we need to monitor. Dynamics and hierarchies within chimp communities do and can change. I don't know what the future's going to hold for this group, but at the moment, you know, Hananya's got that top spot and he's holding on to it.
Back at the hospital, things aren't looking great for Marmoset Charlie. John thinks he may have serious issues with his tail.
He didn't like you doing that. I wonder if that's painful.
Yeah, quite.
He certainly didn't like you doing it.
Like Clydie, Charlie has nutritional bone disease brought on by his poor diet when he was kept as a pet. An X-ray confirms John's fears.
And then here we can't even see
In the end of the
bones.
tail, there's nothing.
Well, you can see the fragments,
Yeah,
the sort of
little
shadows,
tiny
the
bits.
ghosts of bones there, but that's all.
I've never seen a
Oh,
tail
wow.
like that before, ever.
The team are under increased pressure because Charlie's weak bones are causing him pain, which means he keeps waking from the anaesthetic. John decides to leave Charlie's tail for the time being and concentrate on his mouth. His teeth are in a bad way, and one of them needs to be extracted.
Well, he's broken it at some point and exposed the pulp, the cavity in the middle of the tooth, and obviously bacteria's got in and destroyed the pulp, the nerve, the artery, the vein, etc. The tooth's dead. It needs a good blood supply to keep it alive.
It's just a travesty, the British pet trade, and what's happening to the wildlife that's in the pet trade. For the marmosets, a good diet is all it will take. I mean, that's why I get so upset about these things. All of this is unnecessary. They shouldn't be living in indoor bird cages without people who are qualified or capable of looking after them. And all it will take is for us to feed them properly for a week or so, and their bones will stiffen up and there won't be a problem anymore. But right now, that male is chronic, serious suffering. His tail is clearly very painful. He had a mouth with broken teeth and infection. She has a broken face, bad bone density, and is carrying babies. You couldn't get worse.
Next time on Monkey Life, Jin leaves Gordon's group and joins the Orang Nursery.
So far, it's gone really, really well. Jin is totally in love with Linga, and it's the real thing.
And mischievous chimp Bart causes mayhem at Paddy's enclosure. Today on Monkey Life. A tense time for the team when 5-year-old Jin moves house.
Jin's obviously very nervous. They're aware that that's somebody else's territory.
Growing up fast, Paddy's son Bart loses his milk teeth.
Well, he looks a little funny at the moment. He's got quite a big gap in his teeth.
And young woolly Isla has stage fright when she's introduced to baby Bueno. Monkey World in Dorset, nestled deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescues and rehabilitates abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
We just would like to make a nice life for the monkey.
The park provides a home for more than 240 monkeys and apes from 19 different species. The aim is to give them as happy and natural a life as possible. It's a big day for 5-year-old Jin. The team have decided it's time for him to move away from his family group and join the Orang-utan Nursery instead. The main reason for this is because the leader of the group, Gordon, has become a bit unpredictable around Jin, so it'll be safer for the youngster to move away. But Jin is very close to his mum, Hsiao-quai, so to ease the transition, it's been decided that she'll move over with him until he settles in, along with her adopted daughter, baby Awan. Fortunately, there's no need to tranquilise them for the move, as there's a tunnel between the two enclosures, which will be opened up especially to allow them to cross over.
Because we've got this tunnel, rather than just saying, right, you've lost your mum now, you're going to go and live somewhere else, you can move over with her. And that doesn't mean that Hsiao-quai's got to spend the rest of her life in the nursery, but Jin can, have his mum with him when he moves home. And obviously, Awan comes along as part of the package, so she'll just be there as well.
Hsiao-quai, as usual closely flanked by Jin, senses something is different this morning. And when she sees the slide is open, her curiosity gets the better of her.
What's going on there? Hang on about, let's have a look at it.
Well done, all the way.
She boldly makes her way across. But Jin is holding back.
You forgot your son.
Hsiao-quai is a fiercely protective mother and waits for Jin to follow her. But the normally boisterous young orang decides he's had enough.
Maybe not.
Realising her youngest son is rather nervous, Hsiao-quai goes back to reassure him.
Jin's obviously very nervous, which is fine, and they're aware that that's somebody else's territory, so they're keeping out of it. Well, he is. He's, and Mum's hanging back because of him. It's just time. Give him time. They've got all day. So have we. We've got nothing else to do.
The other orangs at the nursery, including Oshin, Linga, Dinda, Arme and Sylvester, have been moved inside to clear the way for the newcomers. Finally, the trio make it over, and Jin seems to approve of his new playground. Hsiao-quai leads the way indoors, with Jin clinging to her.
Oh, well done! The whole tribe. Right.
Inside, there's a surprise in store. Jin's elder brother Kai moved over to the nursery almost a year ago and is waiting for them. The two siblings hit it off immediately. Hsiao-quai is no doubt pleased to see her elder son, but has her hands full with Awan, so lets them get on with it.
Little Jin's having the whale of a time in there. I mean, it's a fantastic playground for a person of Jin's size and age, and it's just like they're never apart.
So Kai's broken the ice for Jin and is showing him the ropes. But troublesome twosome Linga and Dinda may not be quite so welcoming when they get introduced later. Another youngster isn't being quite so cooperative. Chimp Bart is now 6 years old and has lost his white tuft, meaning in theory he's no longer a baby. He's also started losing his milk teeth, but he still plays on the fact that he's the youngest to get what he wants. Today, he's having some clicker training.
Bart, come on, mate.
This is where the primates are taught to offer various parts of their body to the staff in return for treats.
Hand. Wait. Good boy.
His sister Eddie and mum Susie, who he's very close to, are never far from his side.
Open. Wait.
Ruth is using the opportunity to check on Bart's milk teeth.
So we've had a couple of them falling out. He looks a little funny at the moment. He's got quite a big gap in his teeth. We can see one or two of the adult teeth coming through on the bottom, but he's lost the two front top teeth, so he does look a little funny.
Chimps' teeth are very similar to humans. They lose their baby teeth at around the age of 5 or 6 and grow 32 adult teeth as they mature. Outside, the rest of the group are enjoying some treats that primate care staff have prepared for them. Lots of hessian sacks filled with goodies to keep them occupied for a few hours. Beth, who's one of the dominant females in the group, stakes her claim first. Closely followed by Zoe, who gets as far away from the others as she can so she can enjoy her stash in peace. But here comes trouble. Bart seems to have missed out on a sack, so decides to try to share Clyn's. But he's picked on the wrong chimp. Clyn has an obsessive-compulsive nature and is not likely to hand over her bag without a fight. So the young chimp decides to hassle Chatter instead. Being the boss's son and a youngster, he's higher in the rankings than Chatter. But she's not handing it over easily. So he turns his attention to Hebe. The playful chimp really is getting on everyone's nerves. But when it comes to his dad, he has more sense than to push his luck. However, Paddy does have something Bart wants, a football. So when his back is turned, he nips in and swipes it. Paddy is a big softie and rarely disciplines his son. But as Bart gets older, he's going to have to get him to toe the line, or there could be trouble ahead. The park's youngest resident, baby woolly monkey Bueno Junior, is coming on in leaps and bounds.
There's no good chucking that at me.
He's being hand-reared because his mum rejected him when he was born. But recently, he's been spending a lot of time at Lavar's house to get him used to being around other woolies and around the primate care staff.
Hi, lunchtime. Bueno's moved on quite a bit now. He obviously still goes home with somebody during the evening, but then every day he'll be down in the top woolly house at sort of 9 o'clock until 5 o'clock, really. Oh. Yummy.
The staff have started to experiment with the youngster's diet.
We obviously give Bueno a lot of different types of fruit and veg just so he gets used to the variety, but he always has his favourites. He always goes for the grapes and the blueberries first. He basically prefers the fruit, so things like kiwi and apple sticks he absolutely loves as well. And then you'll find like the cucumber and the lettuce he likes, but it'll always be left till last, and if there's something he's not going to eat, it's going to be the veg. But that's the same as all the other woolies as well. They always go for the fruit first because it's the sweetest and it tastes the nicest.
With Bueno Junior spending more time in the woolly house, he's also managed to ditch his nappies.
He now goes commando, which is excellent for him. He's just got much freer movement. Obviously, it just means that we have to clean up behind him, which is a bit of a pain for us, but it's much better for him. It's much more natural. And, you know, when he first took the nappy off, he was kind of thinking, what's happening here? But now he's used to it, and that's really important for him because that's what he's going to do when he goes in with the group. So, and he loves it. He loves not having his nappy on. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, he has to go back on again.
The next stage in Bueno Junior's development is for him to go in with the other woolies. But he'll have to be introduced to them one by one. The team have decided that young female Isla should meet him first, as she's shown a lot of interest in him through the mesh. Isla has a younger brother called Manny. She's watched her mum Paquita bring him up, so the team are hoping Isla may even try to look after Junior.
It's hard to get you in there now. It's okay.
Okay. Good girl.
Look, the door's open.
Isla.
Oh!
The team tried to tempt Isla into Junior's playroom with grapes.
Come on, then.
But she's suddenly come over shy.
Oh. Yeah, she's coming into the room.
She gives it another go, but isn't quite brave enough. Bueno Junior seems oblivious to what's going on.
She's come through.
Isla tentatively comes in again, but she can't quite find the courage to say hello. This is the first time she's been separated from her mum and the rest of the group, so it may just all be too much for her. The team decide to quit while they're ahead and call it a day. Things haven't quite gone to plan, but there's always tomorrow. At the Orang Nursery, Oisin, Sylvester, Jolie and Ame have got the outdoor enclosure to themselves. And the Orang team have given them a special treat of strawberries to keep them occupied. 5-year-old Sylvester is making the most of the opportunity. He loves hanging around and is a daredevil on the climbing frame. His adopted mum, Oisin, is happy to watch. She's lost a lot of weight since arriving at the park, but doesn't like to exert herself too much. However, they're only too aware that inside, a new orang has taken up residence. 5-year-old Jin has moved across from Gordon's group, along with his mum Hsiao-quai and adopted baby sister Awan, and seems to be having no problems settling in. He's already met up with his brother Kai and is about to be introduced to best friends Linga and Dinda. The Orang team have decided the mischievous duo will be easier for Jin to deal with at this stage than the older Orangs.
The reason we're going for the little ones first is because that's more likely to be a success. Younger people are less controversial.
Introductions are unpredictable, so the Orang team are always prepared for trouble.
Are they locked right into the enclosure, both doors, so we can use all the tunnels?
We can use all the tunnels.
At least to start with, OK.
Once Linga and Dinda are safely in the playroom, Hsiao-quai, Jin, Awan and Kai are allowed in.
Yeah.
Hsiao-quai is surprisingly chilled about seeing Linga and Dinda there. She seems more interested in the food that's lying around. As does Kai. Confident Linga makes a beeline for Jin. And to everyone's surprise, they seem to hit it off straight away. It's not long before Jin is following Linga around like a shadow.
So far, it's gone really, really well. Jin is totally in love with Linga, and it's the real thing. He's a lot smoother worker than what his big brother is. I think Jin's a bit of a smoothie. And all Hsiao-quai wants to do is fill her face. Just a little eating machine, aren't you, Hsiao-quai?
Linga has been a bit too full-on with newcomers in the past, and Jeremy is very aware that if she plays too rough with Jin, Hsiao-quai, being very protective of her son, may intervene, and then there could be trouble.
There's a good chance if it gets overly rough, but she can tell the difference between excitement of play and somebody getting scared. I mean, she will soon pick that up. And if somebody's getting scared, then they will make scared noises, and Hsiao-quai will be in there like a shot.
Dinda, who hasn't shown much interest in Jin so far, decides to break the ice and join in the fun. She's usually inseparable from Linga, so no doubt wants to make sure Jin doesn't muscle in too much on her best friend. Jeremy thinks the presence of baby Awan has made this introduction a lot smoother than it might have been.
Awan is still very dependent on Hsiao-quai, so all the time Hsiao-quai will be prioritising Awan, and that will then mean that people will get away with more, whereas before she might have had more of an opinion.
So, as well as Kai, Jin has made 2 new allies at the nursery, and he may well need them when he comes up against Ame, Jolie, Oisin and Sylvester over the next few days. At the ripe old age of 26, Fidget is the oldest squirrel monkey at the park. He's the only male in his group, but sadly doesn't command any respect from feisty females Samantha and Topsy who live with him. In squirrel monkey society, girls are dominant over boys, and Fidget has had to learn to deal with that. But he's very popular with the primate care staff, and they do try to encourage him to get stuck in. Today, they're putting hula hoops in the squirrel monkey enclosure to give them a bit of extra stimulation and help improve their balance.
They might not pay too much attention to these, so to try and make them come over and explore them a little bit more, we're actually going to put a bit of jam on them, which they do really like, and hopefully then they'll go and explore and have a bit of a swing around on them as well. Jam is a particular favourite of Fidget. He does really like his jam, so he tends to hang back a little bit and let the girls get involved in the enrichment. So hopefully by putting jam, which is one of his favourites, it's going to make him come and get involved as well. Two girls are kind of dominant over Fidget. He does tend to hang back, so he'll probably be the last one to get involved. There's also a hoop each for them, so that hopefully he can get his own one.
Topsy notices the hoops first, but unusually for her is rather wary and hangs back. Fidget is certainly interested.
Fidget, what are you doing?
But as expected, stays on the sidelines. Leaving the way clear for Samantha. But she's more interested in foraging for insects. Topsy is making headway, but is still unsure.
Oh, good boy, Fidge. Come have a look.
So Fidget takes his chance and heads for the furthest hoop away from Topsy. He finds balancing tricky because half his tail is missing. He used to be kept as a pet in the UK and picked at his tail when he was anxious. The jam just doesn't seem to be cutting it, so Emily has a cunning plan.
So I've decided to add some mealworms onto the hula hoops. They weren't showing too much interest in the jam, but insects are normally a winner with these guys, so this might entice them out a little bit more.
It certainly seems to do the trick for Fidget, who suddenly becomes quite bold around Topsy.
He generally keeps himself to himself a lot. He lets the girls take the lead, and they're a bit more dominant over him, so quite often he'll be sitting back. So for him to be coming over here and getting involved and really stuck in is really, really nice to see. It's nice that he can have a chance to get in there first and really get involved in it. Fidget seems to just really be enjoying the stuff that's actually on the hula hoop, so the jam and the insects, he's absolutely loving. The fact that they're just on a hula hoop is kind of just a coincidence, really.
Fidget can't believe his luck.
Topsy!
For once, the two girls have given up, leaving him free rein to feast as much as he likes. At the Orang Nursery, Jin, along with his mum Hsiao-quai and adopted sister baby Awan, are preparing to spend their first night in their new home. Jin is full of beans and doesn't seem tired at all. He's loving having new young friends to play with.
Ready, guys?
Linga, Dinda and Kai all know the drill. Once they've been fed, it's time to settle down and go to sleep.
Good night, guys.
Baby Awan seems unfazed by her new surroundings, but Jin is completely out of his routine and having too much fun to bed down. The Orangs love making nests of wood wool to sleep in. And Jin's elder brother Kai is quick to bag his favourite spot. It's been a long day. But Jin is still in high spirits. A young tearaway wouldn't usually get away with this sort of behaviour, but Hsiao-quai has got her hands full. Jin seems to be having a rather disruptive influence on the nursery. Linga's waiting for her best friend Dinda to cuddle up to her. But Dinda has decided she wants to carry on playing too, and makes a beeline for baby Awan. Until Jin comes over for another wrestle. Finally, the bosom buddies are reunited. And with no one else to mess around with, Jin decides he may as well give in and nestles down for sweet dreams with his mum and baby sister. Next time on Monkey Life, the team head to Germany to pick up a lonely stumpy called Flo.
It'll be interesting to see what she's like, how feisty she is.
And could there be the patter of tiny feet at Hananya's enclosure?
Cherry's always had a little bit of a belly, but it's grown bigger than what we would expect.
This time on Monkey Life.
Come on then.
The park offers a new home to a lonely stumpy from Germany.
It'll be interesting to see what she's like, how feisty she is.
Excitement at Hananya's when the chimp team suspect Cherry might be pregnant.
Shaking again.
I'm shaking.
And it's time for Hsiao-quai to say goodbye to son Jin as she leaves him behind in the nursery. Monkey World in Dorset is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescues and rehabilitates abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
Just with a hacksaw, I could take 3 of these bars out and pull her out.
The park provides a home for more than 240 monkeys and apes. The aim is to give them as happy and natural a life as possible. Alison and animal manager Jeremy Keeling have a long journey ahead of them. They're just arriving at Dover and are about to head over the channel to Calais en route to pick up the park's newest resident. Flo is an elderly stump-tailed macaque who has recently lost her partner. For the last 25 years, she's been living at an animal rescue centre in the German city of Munich. But staff there are worried she'll be lonely on her own, so have asked Monkey World to give her a new home. However, Flo may not find it easy to fit in with the other stumpies at the park because she spent most of her life surrounded by people.
We've had experience of another individual who was very similar when we got Coco from Hungary. She too was very humanized and needy and needed that extra bit of human attention. And Flo's going to need that to make this transition as well, so.
She sees a lot of people, so she must be, pretty comfortable around people. And although it's only recently that her partner died, she's been in that situation for a long time. So I'm hoping, and I believe that, she is going to be quite sort of good at socialising. She's probably a lot better at socialising than I am.
Alison and Jeremy have only seen photos of Flo, so don't really know what to expect.
It'll be interesting to see what she's like, how welcoming she is to new strangers, how feisty she is, because every primate, whether it's a stump-tailed macaque, a gibbon, a chimpanzee, they all have unique personalities just like humans. And Flo will have her own opinions and outlook on the world, and it's going to be for us to try and work out what they are so that we can meet her needs and wants from now and on into the future.
Back in Dorset, the park's existing stump-tailed macaques are unaware of Flo's impending arrival. They're not the friendliest of primates at the best of times, so a newcomer will definitely throw a spanner in the works. Today, they're being given a low-calorie snack to encourage them to get outside. Many of the stumpies have had weight issues in the past because they were used for research in laboratories and didn't get much exercise.
popcorn's quite good for them. They do like it. It hides well in the grass so that they have to go around and they have to actively forage for it. Since they've all arrived, we've had a constant battle with them to get the weight off them. So any low-calorie treats that get them moving and get them active are really good for them.
They're also being given juicy grapes on the vine as a special treat.
Most of them are fairly elderly, they're quite arthritic. It's going to be a bit of work for some of them to actually manipulate these and get the grapes off the stems and things, so hopefully, again, it's something that should keep them busy and keep them active.
Kelly, who is the dominant female, is first off the starting blocks, followed closely by leader Sam, who immediately starts to hoover up the popcorn. In Stumpy society, there's a very serious pecking order, and the high rankers always get first dibs when it comes to food. Kelly is using her big cheek pouches to store as much popcorn as she can, while high-ranking Noreen prefers the grapes and has no intention of sharing. Sylvie is one of the youngest in the group and is making the most of her agility to get to the treats. Most of the other Stumpies don't even attempt the swing steps, which call for a degree of balance and nimbleness. Charlie, also being one of the youngest, could try the steps, but doesn't see any point in pushing herself unnecessarily. With the high rankers occupied, Jonathan, who's near the bottom of the pecking order, takes his chance to grab some of the leftovers. As does Phil, who really is the lowest of the low. But he knows from bitter experience he needs to keep a watchful eye out for the others. There are some big personalities in this group, and newcomer Flo is going to have her work cut out winning them over. Monkey World doesn't actively breed chimpanzees, but occasionally there have been accidents.
Cherry! Cherry!
Cherry is the dominant female in Hananya's group, and recently staff have noticed that she's been putting on weight, so they've decided to do a pregnancy test. Like the other female chimps, Cherry is on the contraceptive pill. But a few months ago, the group were put on antibiotics as they had bad colds with chest infections. So it's possible the pill didn't work.
Cherry's always had a little bit of a belly, but it's grown bigger than what we would expect, and she hasn't put weight on anywhere else. And she's also been a bit subdued, sort of taking herself away from the group a little bit, not enough for us to be majorly concerned about her.
Lisa needs to get a urine sample from Cherry, so is plying her with fluids. She's giving her fizzy drinks as a special treat because she knows Cherry wouldn't be interested in plain old water. Catching a urine sample from a chimp is never easy, but the team have rigged up a very basic contraption which they hope will work.
You know, it could take 5 minutes or it could take, a half an hour or so. We just pretty much will keep going.
If Cherry is pregnant, it won't be her first experience of motherhood. She has had 2 accidental babies before. First, there was Seamus. He's now the most mischievous chimp in the all-male bachelor group. And then there was a little girl called Pip. Unfortunately, Cherry was very young with both those pregnancies, and although she initially cared for them, after a while she lost interest, so they had to be hand-reared by staff.
Ideally, what we would have is Cherry rearing her own baby, and we just don't know if that will happen. It may be a case of third time lucky, but in the past she hasn't, so that does worry us, and that is a concern for us.
Finally, Cherry cooperates.
Success.
Well done, Cherry. Good girl.
Human pregnancy tests work just as well with chimps. If Cherry is pregnant, it will have a massive impact not just on her, but on the whole group.
That was 120.
I'm shaking.
Okay, yeah, so it says pregnant.
It's emotional for the chimp team, who've known Cherry a long time.
It's a very exciting moment, obviously. Time will tell. We just hope that Cherry is excellent this time.
From chimps to orangutans and woolly monkeys to lemurs, the team are always keen to encourage the primate's natural behaviour. And today, Fennel and her gang are going to have their balancing skills put to the test. Lemurs love fruit, and melons are great because they're low in calories. But they're going to have to work for them. In the wild, lemurs are opportunistic feeders because there isn't always a lot of food around. So they have to be agile enough to get to any source of nourishment they can.
Oof, hang on, the extra weight. I'm not ready for it.
The aim was for the lemurs to walk along the rope. But Renton, who's on the heavy side, has other ideas and is using his weight and core strength to his advantage. Female Kaya is cheating too by hanging from a branch. Finally, Douglas gets it right, followed closely by Houdini. Blue, who's the only ruffed lemur in the otherwise ring-tailed group, is biding her time. And when the coast is clear, she nips in, showing great prowess for an elderly lemur. Fortunately, there are plenty of melons to go around, so Houdini manages to get a second bite at the cherry. While Fennel lets Renton do all the hard work for her. Blue may be older than most of the other lemurs, but she's passed this agility test with flying colours. Alison and Jeremy have finally arrived in the German city of Munich. They're on their way to an animal rescue shelter to pick up a monkey who's been living there for the last 25 years.
Oh, Marcus, good to see you.
Sorry, I have to be
Yeah.
in my left hand.
Yeah.
How are you?
Very well. And this is Jeremy, Marcus.
Marcus, how do you do?
Excellent. Should we go on in?
Yes.
See Flo?
Flo is an elderly stump-tailed macaque. Until recently, she'd been living alongside a male stumpy, but sadly he's died, leaving her all alone.
Oh, she's looking older than her photograph. She has gone grey.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Having spent most of her life around humans, Flo loves having people around her.
Has she ever been aggressive with anybody?
Ist sie jemals aggressiv gewesen? Hat sie mal gebissen oder so? No, never.
Nothing.
Never. Oi. Flo.
Jeremy makes the first approach. He wants to see if he can gain her trust.
You know, you take a look at her and you can just see the hair's gone very grey. She's definitely a little more sort of wizened and shrunken. And that now looks to me like an old macaque, whereas the photos from previous, actually, she didn't look quite so old. So yeah, she's an old deer. But her mobility's good.
Grooming is an essential part of macaque behaviour and a good way to develop friendships. So Jeremy is grooming Flo's coat to help create a bond with her.
Clearly, she's just totally malleable, and she's being really good with Jeremy and doing what I would call displacement activity. Like, she's focusing like on grooming her leg, the most important thing in the world, therefore ignoring everything else that's going around her, which is a really benign way to meet people. It's not confrontational because I'm just really busy over here on my own. But now she's starting to look around. She's actually looking over towards me. Jeremy's grooming her really lovely. So I think we're gonna make good progress.
Flo will be travelling back to the UK in a special crate. The team have decided to put it in her enclosure to get her used to it.
You think she will go in a box nicely? No. No. You have to catch her. Yeah. Can she go up there? Okay.
So it looks like they could have their work cut out.
Worst case scenario, we have to physically put her in the box. We can, but that is plan B or C. Let's give her a chance to just go into the box. Why would you not?
Come on, then. Come on, then.
But when the crucial moment arrives, to everyone's surprise, Flo capitulates and walks straight in.
Next up, Callie, that actually went amazingly well. No grunting, no screaming, a whole group of people to wave her off, and yeah, so we're really pleased and happy. And she should have a quiet journey because it's nighttime now. She should go to sleep in the box as soon as we get on the road and it's quiet. So far so good, really happy. We'll see you soon.
Flo isn't the only one moving to a new home. Back at the park, young orangutan Jin has recently moved to his new home at the nursery and seems to be settling in well. He was living in Gordon's group, but was moved because Gordon had become a little unpredictable around him. His mum Hsiao-quai and adopted baby sister Awan came over to the nursery with him to ease the transition. It's now time for them to go back, but the orang team aren't sure how Hsiao-quai will react to leaving her son behind.
We hope that she'll just walk back over, but we do have a backup plan if she decides that she doesn't want to. And we've just got to see how Jin will react in the process.
Jin is loving being back with his elder brother Kai, who also lives in the nursery. And he seems to have forged a close friendship with mischievous Linga.
We're really pleased with how independent he's proved to be in the nursery, away from Hsiao-quai at times during the day. So I do think he is confident enough to handle the separation. I do hope that in the siblings that he's now going to have and all the friends he's got in the nursery and the other females in there, that will provide enough support for him to be fine on his own.
There's a tunnel linking the nursery to Gordon's enclosure, which is used to move orangs around. So in theory, it should be straightforward to get Hsiao-quai back. But she can be stubborn, so the team are apprehensive. So far, so good. Hsiao-quai and Awan have been separated from the others, and Hsiao-quai seems to be playing ball.
You know, you never know. Things can change very quickly, so we have to be very careful and have our wits about us.
But to everyone's surprise, Hsiao-quai seems quite happy to go back to Gordon's enclosure without her son. And Gordon also seems happy to see her.
I'm so pleased. You look at her now, she's happy eating, and she seems like not even try to look for Jin at the moment. I just try to focus on try to get Jin as happy as possible with everyone in the nursery, really.
Jin is having a whale of a time with Kai, Linga and Dinda. But now it's time for him to meet the other orangs in the nursery. These introductions are going to happen in the bedrooms rather than the playroom, as the staff can intervene more easily if there's a problem. 5-year-old Sylvester is a similar age to Jin, so it's decided they should meet next. Sylvester is a well-balanced orang and soon hits it off with his new playmate. 9-year-old Jolie is on the scene next. But the real question is how O'Sheen will react to Jin. She's a brilliant surrogate mum to Sylvester, but clearly doesn't like him hanging around with the new boy.
We are obviously very happy with him, how he's doing now. He's playing with all the kids, he's being very active, chasing the girls are chasing him. We have characters like Kai and Jolly who will not stop playing, and when one of them gets tired, they go to the other. So this is a really good place for him to be. He won't get bored here.
Alison and Jeremy are nearing the end of their long journey home with their precious cargo. But before they're allowed off the ferry, they need to transfer Flo to a special vehicle.
Here it comes.
Because of rabies regulations, Flo can't travel in the UK in Alison's car. So a Monkey World van, which has been quarantine approved, has come to take her on the final leg.
Yeah.
Flo has coped surprisingly well with the journey from Munich, but the team are keen to keep her as calm as possible.
Right, place her facing forward so you can look through the mesh. And the 30-year-old stump-tail macaque.
Officials are surprised at the unusual load.
Right.
Only another 3 hours and Flo will get a glimpse of her new housemates.
Sort of little bit of high stress at this point because you just need everything to go right for Flo, especially when we've gotten this far along. But in the end, she seems okay. She's a bit feisty, which is good because she's going to need to stand up for herself in that group of 9 other stump-tails because they're a bit feisty themselves.
At the park, preparations have been made for Flo's arrival. The staff want her to feel as welcome as possible.
Okay, missus.
At the Stumpy house, the ugly monkeys, as they're affectionately known here, are unaware their number is about to grow. For now, Flo is going to be kept in a bedroom on her own, so she can get used to having other macaques around her.
There you go. Yeah, and if you want to make sure she's feeling comfy and happy. Yeah, straight out, confident.
Good.
And you see her mobilities? Lovely little face. What a pretty face.
It's a new lady.
The other monkeys are definitely inquisitive, but no one's quite sure how they're going to react to having another Stumpy on their territory, or whether she'll be a high or low ranker. Jonathan and Phil are hoping she may push them up the pecking order. Wishful thinking, boys. Next time on Monkey Life. Chimp Tikko sees the dentist.
He's the worst one I've ever seen. Sometimes you get some hair packing, but not like this.
And Flo's on the defensive when she meets Stumpy leader Sam.